What does an automatic watering system look like when it finally works? 20 episodes ago, this series asked why smart timers fail in British gardens. We spent a whole season answering it. For the finale, I want to turn the question round. What happens when they work? What does a garden look like when the technology stops fighting you and starts learning? Today, the future garden, the loop that runs it, and the pieces you already own. I am Mikkel. Already own. Let me take you somewhere passengers never go. The control room at the bus depot. One wall is screens, where every bus is, how late it runs, how full it rides. That is sensing. A team reads those screens and moves the pieces. Hold this service. Turn that one short. That is deciding. The instruction goes out over the radio, and a driver, often me, acts on it. And at the end of the shift, the whole day goes into the records. So next month's timetable is a little harder to catch out. Sense, decide, act, learn. 4 beats, going round forever. That loop is the reason your bus mostly turns up. And here is the thing. The future garden is the same machine shrunk to fit a shed. Sensors watch the soil and the sky. A strategy decides who drinks and who waits. Valves and pumps do the pouring. And a logbook remembers what happened, so next week starts wiser than last week. The systems people draw this exact circle when they design smart growing, from windowsills to warehouses. And every episode this series has quietly handed you one piece of it. Today we bolt the pieces together and watch the whole engine turn. Beat 1. Sense. A garden that cannot feel anything cannot learn anything, so the loop starts with senses. You met the 3 tribes in episode 11. Capacitive probes, cheap and everywhere. Tensometers, which feel how hard the roots are pulling. And the professional TDR kit we admire and politely do not buy. Add the free sensor network your hub already reads, the weather feed, rainfall and temperature and forecast, and add the oldest instrument on the books, your own eyes, on a 2-minute morning walk around. But sensing has 2 rules, and this series learned both the hard way. First, placement beats hardware. An expensive probe in the wrong corner lies with total confidence. Root depth, a representative spot, 1 probe per zone that matters. Episode 12, in one breath. Second, trends beat readings. A single number tells you almost nothing, because a reading is just one moment in one patch of soil. The same probe read every morning for a fortnight draws you a curve, and the curve is the truth. Is the bed drying faster this week? Did the mulch slow it down? That is what the future garden actually watches. Not a number, a direction. Beat 2. Decide. Sensing gives you facts. Deciding turns facts into orders, and this is the ladder from episode 18, back for the finale. Rung 1 is the simple threshold. If the pot drops below the line, water it. If the greenhouse tops 27 degrees, open the vent. 1 sensor, 1 rule, 1 action. Honest work, and most home gardens never need more than this. Rung 2 weighs several things at once: soil moisture, forecast, and season together, the way the weather maths episode scaled watering up and down with the sky. Rung 3 is the clever stuff, cameras and models reading the plants themselves. Commercial glasshouses run that today. Your allotment does not need it yet, but whatever rung you stand on, one test keeps every rule honest, and it comes straight from the people who design these systems. A rule must name the risk it removes. Water before 9 because evaporation taxes the afternoon. Skip after proper rain because drowned roots suffocate. Vent at 27 because heat kills tomato pollen. If a rule cannot finish that sentence, it is decoration, not a decision. Keep the rules few, make each one earn its place. Beat 3. Act. And here's some good news for once. The acting limb is the oldest and most dependable part of the entire loop. Valves, zones, pumps. Series 2 built them from parts, and this series taught them manners. A latching valve sips its battery so a season runs on a handful of AA cells. 4 zones give 4 different thirsts their own schedules. Remote control is so thoroughly solved that one gardener posted proof of watering his indoor trees from anywhere in the world, and nearly 600 people applauded. The pouring, in other words, is no longer the hard part. The hard part is remembering what episode 8 taught us. Acting needs a bottom rung that never fails. When the app sulks, when the Wi-Fi drops, when your hands are wet and the phone is indoors, the physical button on the timer still opens the valve. So judge the acting beat the way I judge a bus, not by the screens in the cab, but by whether the brakes work when everything else has a bad day. Machines act, buttons reassure, the future garden keeps both. Beat 4. Learn. This is the beat that separates a gadget from a future garden. Without it, you own a timer repeating last year's guesses forever. With it, the loop closes. Episode 16 gave the garden a logbook. What ran, for how long, what the probe said, what the plants did about it. Feed that record back into your rules, and something quietly remarkable happens. The garden stops being configured and starts being trained. Do not picture anything grand. My logbook is a damp notebook in the shed, and its best entry beats any app I own. When cloud sits low on Black Mountain by tea time, rain reaches my street within the hour, whatever the forecast says. That is machine learning with a pencil. The proper builders close the same loop at full scale. One gardener wired his whole back garden through a home-built controller and a house automation system. Every zone logged, every run recorded, every rule tuned from the history. Same circle, bigger engine. So here is the honest definition of the future, and the sentence this whole series has been driving towards. A garden does not get smart in one purchase. It gets a little smarter every week because somebody kept the receipts. So how much of this future is on the shelf right now? Here is the honest map. The sensing beat is cheap and real today. The deciding beat is solid on its first 2 rungs. And the third rung, the cameras and the models, already earns wages in commercial glasshouses, growing the supermarket tomatoes you had for lunch. In a back garden, it is a hobby, not a need. And every layer you add goes into the ledger. It costs money, it drinks a little power, and one day it will demand maintenance, a reset, a firmware sulk, a clean. A future garden that doubles your chores has missed its own point. The systems people say every layer must serve the plant before it serves the gadget shelf, and they are right, which is why the landing step has not changed since episode 15. Start with one loop, one zone that matters, say the greenhouse drip line. One probe in honest soil, one valve on one schedule, one page of log. Run that small engine for a season and let it teach you. When it pays you back in saved water and saved worry, and it will, add the next zone. That is not the budget version of the future. That is how every big system on Earth actually started. Time for the honest card, and in a loop episode it writes itself. The Johgee 4-zone RF timer is the acting limb of my own loop. The hub sits indoors, holding my schedules and watching the forecast. The radio